You're listening to the micro version of the Savage Lovecast. www.savagelovecast.com.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
So if you're a regular listener and you do as I would like all of you to do and commit every show to memory, you might remember the Jill Stein rant a few months ago. Somebody asked a question about whether I would support the Greens, and I kind of blew up about Jill Stein and the Greens, and I dropped a lot of F-bombs, as I sometimes do when I get passionate about politics. And somebody thought it would be a good idea to take that little clip from my podcast and make a YouTube video out of it, and somebody else thought it would be a good idea to just transcribe that rant and put it up on the internet. And this week, months after I blew up, I think it was in May that I blew up, that I answered that question, it suddenly went crazy viral. And the Greens spent the week of the Republican National Convention attacking not Donald Trump, but me, because I am the real threat to the country, and I am the asshole out there. The week of the Republican National Convention, the Greens were coming for not America's fascists, but America's potty mouth sex advice columnists. They want you to know, the Greens, contra my point, that they aren't just running some feces-flinging shitbag for president every 4 years. They run candidates up and down, from dog catcher on up, and they advise people to go to their website to see all of the candidates they're running. And I went, and it's not a very well-organized website, and you can't find a list that numbers them, so I had to count them by hand. They're running 117 candidates in this cycle. So not hundreds, plural, as they claim, but 100 and change, singular. And 117, that's up there in the extremely low triple digits. That's not nothing, but there are 520,000, more than 500,000 elected offices in the United States, which means the Greens are running candidates in 0.02% of them. They have 100-ish elected officials across the United States if you count things like water boards and trash, recycling, advisory boards, and neighborhood councils, which that last one, neighborhood councils, no one really counts those. They have no members of Congress, no senators, not a single member of a single state legislature anywhere in the United States, no governors, not a single mayor of a big city. And this showing, 117 candidates, these elected officials that they claim to have, isn't a word, pathetic. And my point stands. You don't make the leap from dominating the water board in Marin County, California, to the presidency of the United States in a single cycle. You gotta build a party. The Greens are in this election cycle, and maybe they'll grow up and become a real political party one day, just like Pinocchio became a real boy one day. They're just fucking trolls, and I know I shouldn't feed them, but just a couple more minutes, please indulge me, because this tweet that I want to share with you came up in the context of how mean I am being to the Greens. Ovo tweeted, "Dan, you're badgering, by your count, a small voter bloc, while some of your listeners/readers don't bother to vote at all. Cajole these people to get off their rumps and vote." Because what I don't do here at the Savage Lovecast is devote a lot of time to importuning people to register and vote. Oppo claims he's a listener, but I have to wonder, because as someone else pointed out on Twitter, I talk about voting here on my sex podcast a whole lot more than I talk about fisting. In my defense, voting is something all adults can and should do. It's relatively easy and always a painless process. Fisting, on the other hand, only appeals to a small number of adults, not all of them gay men. Vaginal fisting is a thing. Google it. But Google it at work just to be safe. You don't want to ruin your home computer. And it's messy, fisting, as opposed to voting. Voting, really simple, clean. You just need a pen here in Washington State to do it. And fisting, as opposed to voting, is messy, and I've been told it can involve pain when done incorrectly or done ineptly. Always be sure to remove that wedding ring, trim those fingernails, and take off your wristwatch. Why talk so much about voting on a sex and relationship advice podcast? Why not just stick to sex? Because we don't have that option. If you're paying attention and you're doing a sex show, you don't have the option of ignoring politics or politicians, because politicians and politics are all up in our sex all the time. from trying to prevent the introduction of the HPV vaccine to trying to block women's reproductive choices to trying to prevent people who would like to marry a partner and person of the same sex from marrying that person, or now with the GOP platform coming after marriage equality, staying married to the person they may have already married. You have the GOP and their platform declaring porn a public health crisis. You have them, the Republicans, going after Americans on where they pee and when they pee and whether they're allowed to pee, where other people are allowed to pee. Yeah, politics are all up in our sex and relationship and gender business, and we can't, over here in sex and relationship and gender advice podcast land, just ignore them and hope they go away. We have to vote them out to make them go away. So a certain amount of my sex podcast is going to be devoted to the topic of voting. And there's a fast forward button on your podcast app, most of them. So if you already agree with me and you don't need to hear it, you can just skip ahead 15 seconds at a time. Or if you just want to come for the sex, you can skip ahead and get to the sex relatively quickly. One last political note before we get to the sex. The Democratic National Convention kicks off today on Monday. It's Monday when I'm recording this. We'll be deep into it tomorrow, probably by the time you're listening to it. And at a breakfast rally this morning for California delegates, calls for the party to unite were met with boos, and calls to elect Hillary Clinton also met with boos. Hillary Clinton, of course, is the Democratic nominee. And it seems that some Democratic delegates don't want her to win, which means they want who to win exactly? What's our other choice? Our real choice, not our Fantasyland choice? Oh, that would be Cheeto Jesus, the circus peanut fascist, as Anna Marie Cox described him on Real Time this week, which I think nails it. So it seems that at least some Democrats are for disunity and for putting circus peanut fascist Jesus fuckface in the White House. And this distresses me. And we have 3 more months before the elections. We will probably circle back to this once or twice more in the next 3 months, but I promise you it will not be all we talk about, because it is not all you are interested in, and it is not all I am interested in. All right, coming up on today's podcast, tons of your questions, and on the Magnum, 2 guests who have nothing to say to us about politics. We have the star and the director of Tickled, the amazing new documentary about this creepy tickle fetish scene, and there's something creepy about a tickle fetish, but there's something creepy about the particular chunk of the tickle fetish scene online that they explore. It's a fascinating conversation. And also Eric Klinenberg, co-author of Modern Love and author of Living Alone, here to talk to us about vasectomy and other choices after this. Today's episode is brought to you by FrameBridge. Send them your art, choose a frame, and they'll send you your art beautifully framed and ready to hang. Use the promo code SAVAGE for 15% off your first order. That's framebridge.com and enter SAVAGE.
This episode is brought to you by Third Love. They make the most comfortable bras ever. Choose a bra from their website, try it for free for 30 days, and if you love it, keep it, and they'll charge your card. If you don't love it, send it back, and your card will not be charged. Start your free trial right now at thirdlove.com/savage.
This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Boll and Branch, luxury, affordable, fair trade certified sheets. Get $50 off a set of sheets plus free shipping by going to bollandbranch.com and entering SAVAGE.
Hi, Dan. I am a bi female in my late 30s, recently divorced about a year ago. In my first relationship since, with someone that I absolutely adore. This guy, I met him about 8 months ago, and it's been a marvelous relationship. Just get each other on so many levels. I've started spending more time at his place and helping out with his dogs, and which he co-parents with his ex. Now, the best thing is that because they're co-parenting, the ex spends a lot of time at his house, practically every day. And that's okay. However, every time I come over, I find things there that are just unnerving. Writing on the mirrors with hearts was one of the things. The latest one was a box of love letters and intimate pictures left on top of the kitchen counter. And every time I encounter these things, it just triggers a lot of anxiety, and I imagine, their intimate life, and it's making me a little cuckoo. My question is, am I being unreasonable to get upset when I find all these leftovers in the household? Is this something that I should even address? I have actually met the ex, and we get along pretty okay. It's just when I run into these, things that are just carelessly left behind, tags from Victoria's Secret, just things that are very unnerving. Is this something to address with either of them, or is it, time to take a step back? And also, maybe I'm just overreacting. I just get these really horrible reactions. My heart starts beating. My heart's beating right now. My mouth gets dry, and maybe I have to do some work on myself.
Okay, first things first. We don't parent our dogs. We own them, and we take care of them, but it ain't parenting. Dogs are not children, and I say this as the reluctant parent of 2 dogs. Dogs ain't children, and children ain't dogs. You don't parent dogs. You own them, and you look after them, and you take care of them, and you pick their shit up off the ground. If dogs were children, we would have them institutionalized. But because they're dogs, hairy and smelly, never get any smarter, and you have to pick their shit up off the ground forever, we love them. I don't understand the dog thing, even as I own 2 dogs. All right, that out of the way, off my chest. I want to know where your boyfriend is on this, on the behavior of his ex, because it's creepy and inappropriate, and it is obviously meant to antagonize you. If he has no interest in getting back together with her, if he thinks this is kind of pathetic and ridiculous, and he can't see that leaving all of this stuff strewn about his apartment or his house for his new girlfriend to find is his ex's way of successfully getting under his new girlfriend's skin and trying to come between him and his new girlfriend, and he doesn't take any steps to address this, that's a problem. You have 2 problems here. The ex is trying to antagonize you. And even if her mode of antagonizing, even if her strategy to antagonize you wasn't so effective, just the fact that she was attempting to antagonize you is itself antagonizing. And he has to see that, and he has to address it, and he has to be the one who goes to his ex and says, knock it the fuck off. It is over. We will always have our memories, but I don't want memories written on mirrors in my house or strewn around my apartment. It is inconsiderate. Not just of my new girlfriend, but of me, of where we put this relationship, where we came to. We came to an end, and it is over. And you continuing to grieve it in this aggressive bunny boiler 40-year-old pop culture reference way is a co-parenting doggy deal breaker, and I will have those fucking dogs put down if that's the only way I can get you out of my life. Understood? Or I will drop them off at a vet, or I will adopt them out, or you can fucking take them. That's what he should be saying to her. And if he's not saying that to her, yeah, you might have a problem with him. Because if he's not saying that to her, if he's not shutting this down, then he's saying that the needs of his ex and her feelings come before your needs and your feelings. This isn't photos in a hallway framed on a wall. This isn't mementos in a sock drawer. This isn't something in a box in the attic. This is a campaign to be obnoxious, to antagonize the current girlfriend by his ex. And that's not okay. And if he allows that campaign to go on, he is complicit in it. He is saying this is okay with him. It is okay with him when someone that you have no relation with, that you're not connected to in any way yourself, goes out of her way in a living space that you share from time to time, goes out of her way to make you feel uncomfortable and unwanted and unsafe, and that doesn't fucking bother him, yeah, that should bother you. And I would, if I were you, pull the plug on this relationship and wish him a very happy future with his demented ex and their 3 fucking hairy, stupid, you got to pick their shit up off the ground forever children.
Hey, Dan, I have a question for you. My partner and I are in an open relationship, and he sleeps with other women while I stay at home, which we have agreed on and works for us really well. The other night, a couple approached me about having a threesome, and after discussion during and after sex, he consented to it. He said that as long as I wasn't penetrated by the other party, by the other party's dick, it was completely fine. I went, we were having so much fun, and I was penetrated with the guy's penis, which was awesome, but now I'm lying to my partner about it. I don't know what to do, and I feel really guilty, but at the same time, I feel like it's not a big deal. I need to know what to do here, Dan. Should I tell him, or should I just keep this to myself for a really long time?
You could keep this from your partner forever, but the stress of that, knowing that this lie is lying around out there, knowing that these people that you had this three-way are rattling around out there, knowing that at some point the truth may come out, and then it's not just the in-the-moment betrayal that he's going to have a problem with and going to be angry with you about, but the long concealment as well, that you didn't run home immediately and confess and throw yourself at his feet and begged for his mercy, which I don't think you should do. And I think the real reason that you should go and tell him, besides not wanting to compound the perceived wrong and not wanting to live with the stress of when or if this will ever come out, the real reason you should go and tell him what happened is because there is a double standard here that your confession will help to explode. It will clarify something about your relationship. He runs off, you're in an open relationship, which up to now has been a one-sided open relationship, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. There are a lot of people out there in one-sided open relationships. If everyone's happy, everyone's happy. It doesn't have to be ice cream split up for a couple of toddlers where you have to make sure it's exactly equal or someone's being cheated. That you can be in a one-sided open relationship where one partner has sex with other people and the other doesn't because they have no desire to, or they're aroused by their other partner having sex with other people, whatever it is. All that said, you're in this open relationship where he has sex with other women and presumably penetrates them, and then he makes a limit for you when you're going to have sex with someone else, which you rarely do. Up to now, you had never done it. And he makes a no penetration rule that applies to you only. Yeah, that's a kind of unfair double standard that I don't think that you should swallow. So you go to him and you tell him that in the moment you got swept away and the limitation that he placed was violated and you're sorry about that, but you need to have a discussion about reciprocity, equanimity, fairness, and how you move forward from this. And it was a betrayal, but it was a minor betrayal in the grand scheme of things. If he attaches huge symbolic importance to being your sole penetrator, then maybe you two need to part ways. Maybe you two shouldn't be together because whatever symbolic importance he attaches to being your sole penetrator, you don't attach to him being your sole penetrator or you being his particular and exclusive penetratee. So go and tell him. It may lead to fights, a long dark night of the soul, tears and arguments, but on the other side, if you come through that, it's either going to lead to you two parting ways, or hopefully what it'll lead to is a more fair, equal, and balanced agreement about your open relationship and the contours of it and what's allowed, not just him, but what's allowed you on those rare occasions when you want to fuck somebody else or get fucked by somebody else. Remember when cameras weren't part of your phone? The way we take pictures has changed, but the way we frame them hasn't until now. Framebridge.com is the new easy way to frame the things you love. From the treasure trove of photos on your phone to posters and artwork, Framebridge makes it easy and affordable. Just go to framebridge.com and pick out the frame you want or let their designers help you choose. You can even preview your item in any frame style. They'll send you a prepaid package to ship your item safely, or you can simply upload a picture on the Framebridge site or app. You can even upload a picture directly from Instagram. The expert team at Framebridge will custom frame your item in days, not weeks or months, and deliver your finished piece directly to your door, ready to hang. Framebridge offers a happiness guarantee. Their team gives each item personal care and attention because meeting your expectations is as important as meeting their own. Instead of the hundreds you'd pay at a framing store, their prices start at $39 and all shipping is free. And right now, if you go to framebridge.com and use promo code SAVAGE, you'll save an additional 15% off your first order. Just go to framebridge.com, promo code SAVAGE.
Hey there, Dan and the at-risk youth. I recently moved a couple hours away from where I live to be with a guy I really like, and more spend time together only been out a couple of months. I'm starting to realize that we're just kind of not meant for each other. He's a great guy, love him to death, but he's very much an only child, is how I would describe it. He's really selfish in a lot of ways, and he's good in that when I call him out on it, he's very understanding, and he apologizes and, respects the fact that he's being selfish, but it keeps happening over and over and over. I'm a bartender, and recently I met somebody who's also dating somebody who is very much not right for him, and we've kind of developed a pretty strong crush on each other. It's starting to develop something, and we've made out, I'll say, pretty damn often, but it's very clearly heading to more than that. It's time for both of us to leave our respective significant other. I know I need to do it, but also I'm a little worried in that if I leave my partner right now, I'm kind of afraid of what he's going to do to himself. He's a very emotional person. He's gone through a lot of stuff. His first real boyfriend, and he's done some self-harm in the past. I'm afraid that if I do anything, it's going to just happen all over again. And on one hand, I don't want it to happen. He's a good guy. He's not a bad person. He's, we're not meant to be. On the other hand, I feel like I'm not responsible for his emotional problems and whatever happens as a result of this. It's not working out. Things are not good. I'm not happy. He's not happy. There's a line.
This is a tough spot to be in because it's hard to tell people who are actually fragile and very emotional and likely to engage in acts of self-harm if you should leave them from people who just create a kind of emotionally fragile persona, who play that up in order to control and manipulate people. Because here you are, you've only been with this guy for a couple of months. What you've learned during that discovery process, which is what we call early stages of dating, learning about each other, the discovery process, what you've learned is you're not right for each other. And now you can never, ever leave him. You have to spend the next 50 or 60 years with him, or he will kill the hostage, which is himself, theoretically. In a situation like that, you kind of just gotta do what's right for you. You gotta call the bluff. You have to not negotiate with hostage-taking terrorists, even if the only person being taken hostage by the terrorist is the terrorist himself. Sorry, I shouldn't describe people who are fragile in this way as a terrorist, but you get my point. You have to call the bluff. You have to leave. The trick is, and you are indeed not responsible for his emotional problems. The trick is, and what you are responsible for, is to disengage from him in a way that is considerate and thoughtful and compassionate. That's what you owe him. You don't owe him the next 50 or 60 years of your life. You owe him some thoughtfulness and consideration. So you reach out to mutual friends. If you've gotten to know any of his mutual friends, you reach out to any family members that you know that he has the love and support of. You line up resources that may be available to him in your community. Are there support groups? Does he, through his employment, have access to mental health services? You give him the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, or you send him to suicidepreventionlifeline.org, which also provides services for people who are thinking about or engaging in acts of self-harm. And you lay that all out for him as you, no way to put a gloss on this, no way to make this sound nicer than it is, as you dump him, as you leave him. And if you do like him and you want to stay friends, you can put that on the table too. But it's really hard to stay friends with someone who then continues to be a highly emotional person, who then attempts to punish you endlessly and manipulate you endlessly with their emotionality, because it can be one way for someone that you want out of your life to endlessly keep you in their life without your consent in a strange way. So you have to look out for yourself, but as a human being who does on some level and to some degree care about this person, dump him as compassionately and thoughtfully as possible, which in a circumstance like this means you have some advanced work to do. You have some homework to do. You have some prep to do before you disengage from him. There's one important thing you can do to help ensure having a good day, and that's getting a good night's sleep the night before. One company has set out to make this possible. It's Boll and Branch. They've reinvented sheets and bedding with the sole purpose of making your nights more comfortable than ever. This is a company you need to discover. Their bedding is so soft it will be a new standard of comfort that you'll measure everything else by. And you can get these products at just one place, bullandbranch.com, where you know you're paying for quality sheets and not department store overhead and markups. You're getting amazing, luxurious sheets for a couple of $100. Go online to Boll, that's BOLL, and branch.com. Plus, they'll let you try them risk-free for 30 nights. Go to bullandbranch.com today for 20% off your entire order. Sheets, towels, blankets, duvet covers, everything, plus free shipping. And all their products come beautifully packaged in their signature boxes. So go to bullandbranch.com today for 20% off your entire order and use the promo code SAVAGE. That's bullandbranch.com, promo code SAVAGE.
Hi, Dan. I'm a mid-30s cisgender gay man from a major East Coast city. My husband and I have been together for 8 years, and over the past year or so, we've experimented with opening up our relationship. This has been satisfying for each of us personally and has so far only strengthened our relationship. We've been with other guys while on vacation, but never at home. However, recently, we started to become friends with a really hot gay guy from the gym who we were both really interested in. We asked him if he wanted to get drinks together, and we did. We had a great time getting to know one another. We are planning to get drinks again and wanted to ask him if he's interested in having a threesome. We were wondering about the best way to go about asking him. The two of us have been having a debate whether it's best to have one of us ask him one-on-one or ask him together. If he's not interested, my husband is worried that it might be awkward for him if he has to respond to both of us together. I think we should just ask him together as a couple, since this is an invitation for a threesome and we're both equally interested. Is there an etiquette or protocol for this kind of thing? What's the best way to ask him, together or one-on-one? This is our first time asking someone we really know if they're up for a threesome, and hope you have some advice. Thanks, Dan.
Emily Post did not cover this. There is no established etiquette for who does the asking when a couple wants to have the threesome. I don't see either scenario as problematic or a violation of decent ethics or etiquette. Either you ask alone or your husband asks alone or you both ask together. Just the next time you guys are with him and hanging out, whether as a couple or if one of you runs into him at the gym or grabs coffee with him, just toss it out there on the table casually. It will be awkward. Even if he says yes, even if he wants to have a three-way with you, it's still going to be a little bit awkward as you power through that and negotiate your way through that. I have a hunch that some gay dude who met a couple at the gym, who then went out to drinks with that couple twice, has it somewhere in his head that the couple may be grooming him for a threesome. I guess grooming isn't a word we should use usually. When grooming is used in a sexual context, it's kind of a gruesome sexual context. Styling him for a threesome? Recruiting him? Well, that's bad too. Recruiting him for a threesome? Gonging him? Like, you know, the queen gives you an honor. It's called getting gonged. You guys are gonging him for a threesome? He knows, but he is waiting for you guys to make the move. I bet, because he as the single person thinks, what if I'm misreading signals? What if what they're interested in is friendship? Even though I've got a really strong vibe that they're interested in me and maybe, I don't want to fuck this up. I don't want to hit on them and have one be really angry because they're actually in a monogamous relationship or both be really angry. So I'm going to let them play this out. No, the time has come. Just throw it out there on the table. Next time you see him, perhaps in a sexier context than running into him at the gym, go out for drinks, the three of you, or just two of you, or ask in an email. Just ask, just do it. Three ways don't happen unless somebody powers through the initial awkwardness and asks.
Hi, Dan. I have a question about safety and how to go about safely exploring sexual fantasy. The idea of a threesome with two guys really turns me on, specifically a spit roast. And I'm just wondering, what's the best way to go about kind of safely making this happen? I'm obviously very much aware of sexual violence and the potential dangers of taking two guys home with me. Do you have any tips for how I could best go about making this happen in a safe way?
There's all the advice that applies when you're meeting people and taking them home one at a time, to meet them in a public place first, to get to know them a little bit. If you are meeting with people or a person specifically to fulfill a sexual fantasy, to really vet them, to require their real names, real phone numbers, contact information, so that if they do decide to kill you, they get to go to jail too. And that acts as a disincentive toward killing you or assaulting you in any way. For this particular fantasy, for wanting two guys at once, for the big spit roast, you might want to look into organized swinging scenes, because they are, to a great extent, and when they're functioning well, they're kind of matriarchal, that guys can't come alone, and guys who make women feel uncomfortable are shown the door, because if the women march out of the swingers club, it's over. So you can go to an organized swingers club or sex party or an event and in some small way be reassured about the guys there, which is not to say that sexual assault has never happened or could never happen or in that environment. Sexual assault, sexual violence can happen in any context, including a committed relationship with somebody that you know very, very well. Marital rape happens. But you do have an added degree of assurance that there is a bar that had to be cleared for people to be in that room and stay in that room and remain in that room. Also, there will be in that room, presumably, other women that guys who may be expressing an interest in you have already hooked up with, and you will be able to turn to those women and ask for a reference. That's part of what an organized swinging scene provides to attendees and members, is that kind of social control of being a known quantity for good or ill, and people being able to vouch for you or not vouch for you, as the case may be, and warn you off someone because they had a bad experience with that person, perhaps. But if the organized swinging scene isn't for you, personal ads, put it out there, suggest that you'd like to meet a nice bi-male couple, they're out there too, to help you fulfill this fantasy, and then meet in public, get to know them a little bit. You are the prize. Kinky women, sexually adventurous women looking for this kind of thing particularly, you can be very demanding. You can be very dictatorial about what they're going to have to do to earn your trust and make you feel comfortable enough to go through with this, with them. Don't be shy, be assertive if you go that route. And if you say to someone or someone's, a couple of guys, these are the things that I need from you in order for me to feel safe doing this with you, and they balk or they argue with you or they attempt to manipulate you into letting go of those things, run. Not the guys that you should be doing this with, however hot they might be. They have identified themselves in that moment as potentially unsafe and therefore disqualified.
Hey, Dan, it's Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Hey, notice anything different about me?
You're talking into a microphone instead of just watching me while I talk into a microphone.
It's true, there's something else.
What?
See, that proves that you're gay. Because if you were straight, you'd notice how great my breasts look.
Oh, I thought in a workplace situation I wasn't supposed to look at you below the chin, ever, gay or not gay.
I feel like I'm sexually harassing you by forcing you to have this conversation.
I am now, after many years of working together, checking out your rack for the first time, and it looks amazing.
Pretty nice, right?
It is.
Do you see any lines or any bumps or any,
I see two bumps, but I think they're the point, right? If they weren't there, there would be a problem with your rack.
There would be a big problem. So this is where finally all of these years pays off, and I actually get some of this stuff.
The swag.
The swag. Third Love bra. They sent me a bra after I took their sort of their Hogwarts house test, where you figure out what kind of boob you have.
It's like a sorting hat for your tits.
Yep.
Or is it two of them? Two little pointy sorting hats, a la Madonna in the 80s, but for your tits?
Yeah, well, there's all these different kinds. So one could have bell shape or east-west or side set. So I took the test and I chose the bra.
That's
and they
right,
sent it to me, and it's perfect. It really does fit perfectly. It's great.
What kind of boobs do you have? That's the question now. I think it's on everyone's mind.
It's not polite to ask a lady such a question.
Sidewinder, Apache. Are they all named after missiles?
Here, wait. I have to read you this one line that made me so happy off their website.
Oh my God, the suspense is killing me. I hope it'll last.
Third Love asks, is there a better feeling in the bra world than a buttery soft layer of memory foam that forms to your body? I love it because it's a rhetorical question. The answer is no, there is nothing better than that. Hey, you used to do drag. You used to wear bras.
I did used to wear bras. And they hurt.
This one doesn't. This one feels great.
I was a little wide through the back, so the straps always hurt.
So anyway, thirdlove.com. It's for those of us who don't ever want to step foot in a department store and buy a bra. That's me. It's really easy. You find your shape. You take the sorting hat test. You figure out exactly what kind of boob you have. They send you the bra, and if you don't like it, what do you think happens?
They'll refund your money. They'll give you a new one.
They won't even charge your card. You send it back. They won't even charge you. But that probably won't happen because the bra that they send you is going to feel great.
And you're wearing it right now?
Yeah, it really does.
And your tits look amazing.
Thank you.
Usually your tits look a little bit like a car wreck, but today they look amazing.
They're heading in the completely different direction. So here, Dan, read that.
Third Love stands behind this product so much that they're willing to let my listeners try this bra for free for 30 days. If you love it, keep it, and they'll charge your card. If you don't love it, send it back, and your card will not be charged. Start your free trial now at thirdlove.com/savage. This product has been endorsed by both of Nancy Hartunian's breasts.
Hi, Dan. I've been in a polyamorous relationship for about a year. On and off, we've been exclusive with the woman I've been seeing. She is married, and her husband and I are good friends. Recently, I found out that she had not been completely truthful with another relationship she was pursuing with another couple. And also recently, she flew with them to the West Coast and was adamant that they were just friends. And when she got out there to their home there, she confessed that they were all pursuing a relationship together. I had asked her several times if there was more than just friendship, and she denied every time. And this happened, a couple times. I asked her. So I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm kind of at a crossroads because I'm trying to have compersion, but I feel like she violated my trust to spare her feelings. She says that she feels like I'm not poly, but I think that she didn't tell me about this to spare, like I said, her feelings and not mine, so that she could validate her actions. I'm interested to see if you want to talk more about it.
Compersion, let's define that for people who may not be familiar with the term, is an empathetic state of happiness and joy experienced when another individual experiences happiness. In the context of polyamorous relationships, it is used to describe when a person experiences positive feelings when their lover is enjoying another relationship. Sounds like you're quite capable of compersion, which is a terrible word. I don't know why that word gets under my skin the way it does. And I'm a neologism machine myself, so it's not like I don't think people can invent words or create new words. They should. I do. There's something about compersion that doesn't roll off the tongue, nor does its synonym frubble exactly roll off the tongue. But anyway, it sounds like you're capable of compersion. What it doesn't sound like you're down with is being lied to. And your poly girlfriend is apparently attempting to poly shame you by telling you you're failing at poly because you're not down with lies. And you need to draw a very clear line between her being with other people and her lying to you about the other people that she's with. Lies aren't okay. Polyamorous relationships, having multiple partners, really requires for that to go, and this is true of one-at-a-time relationships too, for that to work, people have to be pretty straightforward, pretty honest, good at communicating. And for someone's comfort, particularly in an open relationship, there needs to be a degree of transparency for someone else to feel emotionally and physically safe. She isn't being transparent. You consequently don't feel emotionally safe with her. And I think that you should end this relationship because she's lying. Maybe she's a habitual liar. We don't know. I'm not going to call her a liar. Everybody lies from time to time. She lied, but then instead of apologizing for the lie or putting it in context or explaining and making amends and trying to do better, she scolded you. It wasn't that she had failed, but you had failed. Because she lied, you did something wrong. You were compersion deficient in some way, and that was the problem. And that's blame shifting, and that's bullshit, and that is a very good reason to end a relationship with someone. You don't want to be with a blame shifting bullshitter.
Hi, Dan and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. I am a 30-something cisgendered female, and this past weekend I was at my fiance's sister's wedding. I am just getting to know the extended family and was talking to various members throughout the night. One of the young cousins, an 18-year-old girl, has started to become more comfortable around me and knows I'm a social worker by profession. At one point, I overheard a conversation between her and her 21-year-old male cousin. She was telling him about abuse she endures from her boyfriend, about how he has pushed her and choked her, and as she was talking about it, she just proceeded to laugh it off. These didn't sound like kinks. They sounded like acts of violence. And what concerns me is that nobody has had a conversation with her about safety, boundaries, and how to identify when you're uncomfortable. The male cousin was telling her, that's not okay, that's not normal, that shouldn't happen, but she still laughed through it. I feel stuck because I want someone to have a good conversation with her, and I don't know her well enough to be that person. Not to mention, I wasn't a part of the conversation. It was just something I overheard. I told my fiancé about it, but I'm hesitant to tell anyone else in the family because she is technically an adult, and it's really not my business. Now, days have passed. We live in different states, and I'm still thinking about it and how I'm concerned for her. Dan, what do I do?
I don't see the harm in reaching out. Send this young woman an email, tell her that you overheard what she was saying and you're new to the family, you want to be available to people in the family, that you're a counselor. If she ever wants to talk about her relationship with you, that you're there for her and you think she's a swell young woman and you'd like her to see you as an aunt and a resource and someone that she can turn to. Because pushing and shoving and choking perhaps in some relationships can be appropriate or playful, and some people are into choking and that can be sexy, although it is very dangerous. And so you don't think necessarily that that's proof that she's being abused, but it was concerning and it raised some red flags for you. And if that's ever something she wants to talk with you about, you're there for her. And then if you don't hear back from her, you've done enough. You've done what you can reasonably do in that circumstance, and you can move on with a clear conscience. You also might want to reach out to the other person that she was talking to when you overheard these things. Is it worse than she let on? Was she putting on a brave face because she was at a social event and didn't want to go to pieces? Was there more to this story? Because if it's worse than she let on, if she confided in that person later that it was actually making her feel unsafe, uncomfortable, if she felt abused, or if by any objective measure she is being abused, it is abuse, then perhaps you could up the ante and stage some sort of intervention by rallying not people she's just met, not new members of the family, but the people closest to her, to sit her down and have a chat with her about what she's going through and make sure that she knows that she has family that love and support her, and that if she's in a bad place and in a bad relationship, they're there to help her extricate herself from that.
Hi, I am calling for in response to the British woman who called in, who's a survivor of sexual assault in episode 508. I'm an educator with a company that does sexual assault prevention training for the military and for civilians and college campuses and that kind of thing. And I just wanted to call in and say that my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That never should have. And then I might have a little bit of information that you might find useful. There's a study by a guy named Dr. David Lisak who polled about 2,000 men on a community college campus with an average age of 26. At the time of the poll, it was a sexual health survey with a couple questions disguised that basically if you said yes to those questions, you would unwittingly admit to having raped someone. The numbers are from that 4 to 7% of men at the time of survey had admitted to raping someone, which is horrible. But it also means that 93% of men on the outside at the worst case scenario, never had and presumably never would. So the vast majority of men and the vast majority of people think this is abhorrent and would never do it, which might help help with the fear of getting out there a little bit, and I hope that it does. The bad news is that the vast majority of rapists tend to be serial rapists, right? 70% are responsible for around 6 rapes apiece. That said, your decision to come forward and talk to the cops, I don't mean to go against Dan, but is entirely yours. Like, you've had enough choices taken away from you at this point. All the choices from here on out are yours, right? I know how the law works over in Britain. I do know that even if there's not enough evidence to convict, a pattern or history of several reports can often be enough over here in the States. So if you feel like that's something you want to do and feel comfortable doing, there are reasons to do it, even if it's not going to immediately, convict this guy right away. But anyway, I just want to close by saying, like, I'm so sorry again that this happened to you, and you probably don't need to hear it gets better from a cis white straight guy in America. So I'll say instead, I'm going to borrow from a Brit and say, if you're going through hell, keep going. I think that's Winston Churchill. Seek out a support group. A supportive environment can really reduce the amount of time that it takes to recover from something like this. But yeah, again, take care of yourself. And I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Hey, Dan. This message is for the woman who called in on your last show who was sexually assaulted by a friend of hers. Having been in her almost exact situation 3 separate times in my life, my advice to her is to forgive herself, because there's nothing to forgive herself for, and to understand that she didn't make the wrong choice in having him as a friend. He made the wrong choice in deciding that her body belonged to him while she was asleep, and that trusting people is still something that she gets to choose to do. He didn't take that from her. He took something else. I've lost friendships with men who I thought were some of my best because I had the audacity to fall asleep with them nearby. And that's not on me. It's not on her. It's not on any of us. Being a woman, being asleep does not grant access to our private parts, our bodies, our souls, any of it. And our job is to continue to trust people and continue to love people and continue to tell ourselves as best we can that we didn't do anything wrong by breathing, by sleeping, by being alive. They did something wrong.
And we're going to leave it there. 206-302-2064 is the number here at the Savage Lovecast. If you want to record a question or a comment for a future show, give us a buzz. 206-302-2064. Follow me on Twitter at FakeDanSavage, where you can marvel at my avatar. Follow Tickled, the movie, on Twitter at Tickled Movies. Follow Eric Klinenberg on Twitter at Eric Klinenberg. And speaking of Twitter, tangled tweets at the dentist, and the only pain relief will be the Savage Lovecast I'll be listening to in my headphones. Will the dentist hear something inappropriate? I don't care. Hope you got through that okay, Tangled. Hope you enjoyed whatever drugs you were entitled to after your dentist. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and the tech-savvy at-risk youth and Nancy. We will all be back at you next week with another installment of the Savage Lovecast.